I don't know how to describe it other than like a demon type of sound.
But it's silhouetted, hulking, every bit of 5.5 feet wide, 13 to 14 foot tall, pitch black.
The one thing that ran through my mind when I had this encounter was I don't have a big enough gun.
Your host, two-time witness and field researcher for more than 40 years, William Jevning. Welcome to Creek Devil.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Creek Devil. We've got Sherry and Travis on the. Sherry and Travis were on the show before.
All right. The night that we're on, that we got introduced to them fully was about 2 months after we moved in, and it was at the end of August. We had a rain. We had about a foot of rain, and within about less than 3 days. I mean, it was coming downpours left and right all the time. The temperature dropped, and we started seeing fog roll in. Whenever the fog it was at the edge of the top edge of the mountain that we are on top of. We have 12 acres up here that is opened up, and it's got a field right here next to the house. I'm not thinking about what's going on, but I've been listening to your show. I've been listening to quite a few other shows as well, trying to learn more about them. And what throwing red flags up for me is whenever I started hearing hoot owls, but it wasn't hoot owls. It was sounding like somebody out there coughing right after the hoot owl, and it kept going. I mean, it kept on hearing the hoot owl. It kept getting closer. We had some in behind the house, the ones on down at the end of the property, and the time the hoot owls got up to the where the old barn is on our property, there's probably about, 75, 80 deer pushed in this little field. And they were still coming out of the woods. I got a flashlight. I shine it down at the end of the property, and I got two eyeballs looking back at me. And as the top of the building at the end of the property is good 14 foot. And I got eyeballs up above it. And these eyeballs are good 8 to 10 inches apart. I started looking around the other parts of the property. I got eyeballs looking at me on the other side of the road fronts. I got eyeballs on the other side of on the pond. We have a little bitty small pond, and the eyeballs blinked, and they just disappeared. But these eyeballs are not deer eyeballs. They are big eyeballs, and they're probably about 8, 9 inches apart. Not as big as the ones just seen. I told my daughter, get my rifle, and we got my rifle, and I kept on hearing this clicks and clacks, almost like what you would hear when somebody would be talking Celtic or Tagalog, but you mixed both languages together. And I kept on hearing it behind the house, in front of the house, on the other side. Me and my daughter gets in my truck, and I'm all this time afraid these things are going to go after my horses. The 3 horses I got is the biggest animals out here, other besides the deer. I have no idea what their intentions is. Don't know if they're going to kill my horses or anything like that. They've had horses found dead. They've had cows found dead up here. And it's just like, no, I paid too much to have these horses moved up here to have these things to go and kill them. So me and my daughter go down there to the one that I just seen behind the shed, and I'm honking the horn. I'm going down. The deer never moved out of my way. I had to drive around the deer in order not to hit the deer, in order to get to the shed. I mean, that's to me, that is wild beyond belief, because down there in Texas, we had property that was butted up against 100 acres, and I could drive across the field, and the deer would jump up out of the middle of the field and take off, and we'd never see them again. This out here, where I'm driving through, I'm having to drive around the deer. I actually could reach out and pop one upside the head with my hand when we're driving down through there. The deer, I mean, that was the only time they'd ever moved. But the only time it is, I get down there, I step out, and I can still hear the murmurs on the other side, and behind my storage shed. The deer on the horses comes up there next to where I'm parked, and they didn't know what's going on. They have no idea. They never had this happen, and I just started shooting into the ground. I did not shoot up in the air. I shot down into the ground. My daughter is back on the truck behind me. She said the trees parted going up the hill. I mean, it parted and it kept on going until it got over the top of the hill. The one in behind the shed, it went through the trees on the backside, and I never seen it. The one that was on the bottom of the hill, it had took off, and all you could hear is crashing. It crashed through the trees. You could hear rocks being knocked out of the way and everything. It just took off, scared, down going down the hill. I come back up. The deer never left the property the whole entire time. I backed up, shining a light out there in front of me to make sure it's not going to charge me or anything like that. I get to my truck, and my daughter was down. She was shaking the whole entire time. She had her pistol drawn, and we do have special ammo that she is a very good shot with this pistol she has, and we have trained with it. I know how thick the skull. I'm pretty sure I know how thick the skulls are for something that's that tall, that big, especially with all the accounts and everything like that, where people had to use something bigger than a 30-06 in order to kill one. We come back up to the house, get out, and I still hear the clicking and clacking. And I stand up next to the front gate, and I started unloading rounds in the ground again. And again, I hear the crashing through the trees, but going downhill, going through on the other side of their gate, in behind the house, and it's real unnerving. The deer, instead of leaving the property, they all gathered even tighter in a group in the center of the field. It wasn't until about 3 o'clock in the morning where the deer finally started leaving off the property. And it was like 70, 80 deer. And I was like, I had never seen that. Not when they do something like that. And it was about 2 weeks later. We, I don't know, it's about a month later. We kept on, it's about a month later. We had on one other one. We had individual come up behind the house. My daughter comes in and said, I see the eyeballs. And she got photographs of it. And shine a light back there, and it's eyeballs bigger than, say, a dollar size eyeballs. And they're probably about 8 inches wide, 8 inches apart. Now, I'm not, It's not a bear. Bears, especially up here, I have never seen grizzly bears up here. And I'm pretty sure a black bear don't stand up over 10 feet, not in height at least, not no small ones. None of that. I just get up here and on that in front of the house, take a black barrel. I hit it. That thing screams, an old man scream, and it's a type of low guttural scream that you never even think about hearing. We get another 2 weeks. We go keep on going, and we've been talking to other people that lives around. I've kept on asking them for people around here that they have never had any problems, none. So, but no one will talk about it. No
Hey,
one.
Travis.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, buddy. This is David. When you first started, you were breaking up a little bit, so I just want to reiterate what you were trying to say. Then I have a question. You were saying that you and Sherry had lived there. Y'all used to take care of Forrest, you and I think Forrest horses, and that y'all ended up moving because y'all were having a lot of problems with the illegals coming onto your property. Was that the first time you had ever had an experience with them whenever you heard them growling from the woods when you were
Yes,
out
sir,
taking care of the horses?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I mean, I've seen them. I've seen one standing out in the cedar trees when we were over at Kate's. But that wasn't during the summer. That was at the end of or it was beginning of fall. And
Okay.
but it was at the end of almost springtime. Whenever the other one come walking across, this thing was good 10 foot. The weeds out there on the field was good 4 feet, and it only came up. The weeds came up to on his belly button. So I mean, it stood over and behind one of the cedar trees she has on her property and growled at us.
Well, Travis, I'm going to interrupt here because now, Sherry, didn't you get growled at down there by the barn one time too when you were moving the hose?
I had the knocking and then the growling.
Yeah, you heard a knocking sound. Something was knocking. This was in the middle of the day.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm thinking about that I was over there helping May to take care of the horses.
Oh, yeah. Well,
I was moving the hoses around, and twice it did the 3 knocks twice, and then I hollered, and then it growled at me, and I was like, "Oh, no." Yeah. So I quickly went and got my pistol and put my pistol back on. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was. This up here, they you can step outside and you hear them. You can hear them holler. Well, I call it the old man scream. That's about the best way you can actually say it. It's a whole old man scream, and next you know, it'll last couple of seconds, and you won't hear it anymore. We've had quite a few other sightings out here. Sherry had to go into the hospital with an eye infection, and a thing came up and stood in behind a backstop I got for the deer, for our deer, our archery practice, our archery sites we got out here, and it stood there and let my daughter know that it was here on the property. And this is why I didn't find this out until after I got back home. That didn't sell very well. We started having rocks being thrown at the house. We can hear rocks tumbling down our roof. Well, I'll be sitting out there and on the front porch at night, watching the deer walking across. All of a sudden, I hear a rock hit the top of the house, and it tumbled down and hit on the front of in front of the front porch after it rolls off the roof, and it moves the deer off. The deer don't stay up here in front of the house anymore. Every time they do stop, they get rock. There's a rock being thrown. I've been out here on the front of on the side of the house, and I've had rocks being thrown, almost hit me in the head, knocked my hat off one time, and I'm talking about rocks about the size of my fist, and it's like it are near on the nearest. I say about 100 yards from where the tree line is. We've come in one time from a homeschool group, or not a homeschool, a homestead group that we go to. Daughter was up there by herself. The dog's going totally ballistic, and she had her pistol on. She got the rifle out, and the dog never came up to the front. Never would come out of the house. You could smell like an outhouse when we drove up. The deer had gathered in behind the other house we have out here. That is an old house that was built back in the 60s. The deer was gathered up in behind that house, and we drove over. There was another set of eyes on the other side of the pond, and it was going up, down, in behind the tree, look out behind the tree, from out behind the tree, and it's up there about 7-8 foot. There's another set of eyes in behind that, and those eyeballs are good $50 to $1 size, but those wasn't very far apart. I mean, I was kind of I knew they had to be some little ones running around with these. Me and my wife drove around the property, see what was going on. The deer was still in behind the house. I got markers or reflector markers up here. Well, all I have to do is shine it down in the property, and as if anything's in front of the markers, then I would know where it's at. We get down there where this one marker is, I have placed up in the tree. The markers wasn't there. We get down there next to the side where we still have a bunch of trees in between it and where we have the markers placed. The markers were still there, but you can see the legs standing there. And I just yelled at it. I mean, by this time I'd already gotten mad, and I started yelling at it. Saying, "Oh, you're playing peekaboo. You're not doing too good because I could still see you." And this is like, I drove off. From the time I drove off and come back around, it had already moved off. I didn't hear anything running through the trees or anything like that. But you could smell it. It smelled like an outhouse again. We go around checking everything else. I didn't see no other eye shine. I didn't see no eye shine with the one that's standing in front of my markers, but the eye shine on the other side of the pond was gone. The deer finally came out behind the house and went across the property and back up into the hill and behind our house, or back into the woods and behind our house.
Hey, Travis.
And, that one, yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Whenever you've been out there at night checking things out, you were talking about the deer earlier gathering up to the point that you had to go around them. Was that the first time you had ever witnessed the deer doing something like that? And if so, have you ever noticed the horses doing anything weird at night?
Yeah, after we had those deer do that, then they changed their call. They changed their call to whippoorwills. The horses never heard of whippoorwill. They've heard great horned owls, but the whippoorwills is what really scared them. But because they would go to butt, and they would face out 3 different ways. They wouldn't gather up in one patch. They would go to butt and face out 3 different ways. And yes, that was the first time I ever seen deer get pushed up like that.
Okay.
Like I said, they had never spooked on owls, but like I said, whenever you hear an owl and you get a cough right in behind it, owl call, then a cough. No, it was something else.
Right.
But they adopted whippoorwills. The whippoorwills, they do the whippoorwill call, and then they like a grunt almost right at the end of it. Yeah, it's like as they started doing that. Here lately, we've had the paper mill up here, and they've been logging. And these things, they got mad. First couple of nights that they was out here logging, we just started hearing the rocks being thrown at the house. It's like a boom. Then it rolls down the hill. I had to go out there and yell at them. It's like, hey, we're not the ones doing that. I was just like, oh man. But one time they had come up, and I don't know if they thought it was funny or not, but they started throwing rocks at the horses. I was like, no, you ain't doing that. It's like I stepped out there and started hollering at them. You want to see a Texan get mad? You hurt one of my horses. You kill one of my horses. I will hunt you. I will kill you. I will do everything I can in order to find you. And all of a sudden I hear something like a laughing. I mean, like a low throaty laugh. And it's like, pissed me off.
How big were the rocks,
yeah.
Travis?
About the size of the palm of your hand.
Good grief.
Yeah, I mean, it left a bruise on one of my horses. It's like, no, you ain't throwing rocks. I thought I started throwing lead. That's like, that's stupid. So, but that's the only time. I mean, the only time I have ever seen them do it. I mean, the horses come up, running up. They don't. They'll go up there in the middle of the day and eat on the side of the fence, or they'll go into where the shade is during the middle of the day. But they won't go out in the middle of the day, in the middle of the night, and go up there. They'll stay up here in the middle of the field. I mean, or up here next to the house. The one time, what was it? 3 weeks ago, the one was on the other side of Chicken Coop. Oh, okay. Yeah, about 3 weeks ago, we had one. It is a scream that I don't think me or her will ever forget. And it's one that it's a haunting type scream. The only thing I can figure, I found out that's anywhere close to it is a dying chimpanzee scream, and it trailed off. I sat out here in front of the house. I didn't play it over the speakers on my truck, the clacking, the clicking, and I heard the whippoorwill grunt again. I knew it was getting close. By the time it is, I knew I'd messed up whenever I told my daughter to go inside, get my rifle because the whippoorwill was even closer than ever before, and our front gate was less than 60 yards. She goes inside, comes outside, and I tell her to go over there and shoot some rounds into the ground. Now, I'm still recovering from a shattered ankle that I had happen to me back when we had ice storm back in January. And she walks out there, and right before she pulled the trigger, I didn't even have time to say anything. And all of a sudden, I see his head stick out from behind the tree. This thing was like 7 foot off the ground. So it looks, and it blinks. Eyeballs blink, and the head wasn't a gorilla head. My daughter shoots into the ground at least a half a dozen times. This thing got scared, screamed. Screamed. It took off through the grass. Didn't even jump over the fence, over a 4-foot fence. Yeah, it looked like they just walked across, ran across the top of it. And all you could hear is crashing through the trees as it left. Me and my wife was going to. We was having to go to leaving out dirt road. It's up here above our house, and and I'm looked over, and I got this thing looking out from behind a tree. This tree is about 3 foot across, big old pine tree, and you can see the eyes. It just looked like looked like a nub on the side of the tree, and it's like you see the eyeballs blinking at you. I'm sitting there, and it's like, look at that thing. It's looking at us. And his wife, she's seen it. And it's like, she's looking at us like, is that it? But we've had numerous times. I've come in from work and have these things on the other side of the house, on the other side of the old house, and it's looking at us from around the tree. We put mothballs out. Whenever we put mothballs out, they hate the smell, and we put it out pretty thick. We put it out all the way around the property. We put it all the way around the house, and for almost a month, we didn't have any problems. But as soon as we have a good rain and all the smell goes away, they come right back. I go out there in the middle, out here where our archery target is. I take a plastic bucket. I walk with a cane now. I hit that hit my cane up against that plastic bucket, and you can hear the old man screams off in the woods. And it's not just one or two; it's like 3 or 4. And I know we have at least six adults and at least two youngsters up here. And it's really not something that you really can get used to. Really ain't. And
Sounds like you went from the frying pan into the fire, Travis.
Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, we have 12 acres up on top of a mountain. We have private property on the other side, which no one's going to build anything on, which is on the side of a slope mountain. The other side of our property is national forest. On the end of the property is a paper mill property on that end. And there is no one for miles. I mean, we have our nearest neighbor going down the road is a mile off one way. and down the bottom of the hill is like 3/4 of a mile. I can stand on the back side of the old house that we have, and I can see the houses down through there. But there is no one around here. Yeah, I mean, it's all forest all the way around.
Earlier,
And,
go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead. Go.
I was just going to say earlier when you were talking about the chicken coop, have you ever noticed if they've ever taken any chickens or eggs? Have you had any problems with that?
Yes, we had one at the insides. We don't know what it did to it, but we did a autopsy on the chicken, and the insides had been turned to jelly. I don't know if it grabbed a hold of it and crushed it or what, but it didn't do anything else to it. Yeah, we're not sure about the eggs. After we put a lock on our chicken coop, then we started getting the chicken eggs in the morning. Before we had the lock on it, we didn't get no eggs. So I kind of figured it probably getting into the chicken coop and getting our eggs. But it didn't kill any of the chickens except for that one. And
Yeah, keep a check on that.
Say what?
Keep a check on that. If they know they can't get anything else, they'll start going for the chickens.
Oh yeah, yeah. My dog's been out in the back. We have him up on chain, and they don't like our dog. The dog don't like him either. Yeah, he'll see them out there. He'll go totally ballistic, and then he'll start barking and scratching at the door, wanting back in. It don't matter if he didn't go to the bathroom or not. He's wanting back in. And it's just like I'll step out there, and it won't see no eye shine, but you're sure see hear the rocks.
What color
And,
has the eye shine been when y'all seen that?
What?
What color has the eye shine been when you've seen that?
Pure white.
White, okay.
Travis.
Yes.
How long was that property vacant before y'all moved out there?
There was somebody living here.
There was somebody living there when you moved?
Yes, ma'am. But they had they was here maybe less than a year, and they got rid of it real quick.
Okay, my next question is: when you said Tagali, what kind of language are you speaking out there? You said something about Tagali, and I'm not familiar with that. So enlighten me.
Okay, Tagali has clicks and clacks.
Okay, but what languages? You're saying clicks and clacks. What Tagali? Where are you getting Tagali from?
Oh, okay. I went through the Navy. I had 4 years of Navy, and 2 of those years I spent overseas.
In the Philippines?
Yes, ma'am. In the Philippines.
That's Tagalog. Okay.
Oh, Tagalog. Okay.
Tagalog. Yes, I have a son-in-law that's half Filipino, and that's what I was thought you were trying to say. No. Okay, that's how you pronounce it, Tagalog, and that's the native Filipino language. So, okay, now I'm gonna suggest to you to go to and listen to the people of the Quasan and the Bantu people of the Kalahari Desert. And I think, Will, you remember I suggested this to y'all to do the same, and you and Tom had gone and listened to that. And Tom, I know, got right back with me, said, my God, that does sound, they speak a language that we as Europeans, I have never seen a European person be able to even attempt to copy it, because their language is a combination of clicks, whistles, and I think if you listen to that, you might find that would probably be the closest to what Bigfoot, the sounds that Bigfoot make, and that is probably considered to be one of the oldest languages on the face of the earth. And those people still continue to speak that language. And it is absolutely impossible for a European to even imitate.
If it's that would explain it. But me and my daughter was out here and out here the other night, and hearing howls, coyote howls, but it was a slur at the end of the coyote howl. I mean, you hear a high pitch howl and then a slur, and it kept doing it. And
a lot of times there's something that they do as they trail off. You can tell this was not what they were making it out to be.
Yes, sir. I mean, yes, sir. I mean, we had people up there around our house at poachers, and they would you could hear them call over the call on their electronic calls, and then you could hear further off, and you hear a true coyote call, and that's it was nothing like a what they're trying to do. Nowhere near it. I mean, it's just like they had part of it down, but and it's like they're trying to make it last longer, but it was like it wasn't coming out right. I mean, that's about the only thing. Yes.
Yes, sir. It's Keith here from Canada. I just wanted to ask you a question. What hours of the day are they most active in?
Yeah, around 10 to 2 o'clock in the morning.
10 to 2 a.m. Have you had any daytime activity at all, sir?
1 or 2. That's it. I mean, whenever they throw the rocks, and whenever I seen one sticking his head around the corner, that was it. I hadn't seen them out at night, daytime at all. Oh, except for whenever me and my wife was going to Shirley. Oh, damn. My daughter keeps on reminding me. We were up here. What is it? Yeah, but when was it? That was no, it was in November.
Yeah.
Oh, in November we had my daughter was out there squirrel hunting, and we have a little drop off right in behind our fence, and standing there next to her, and there's a head popped up, and again, this thing is not that big, and I kind of figured it's a juvenile, and it's standing there blinking at us, eyeballs blinking, watching. And she's already shot a couple of times, shot a couple of squirrels out of the tree. And up here, people were coming up here in this the woods up here behind our house, and they would go and hunt deer.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing of it is, they were reporting that every time they would shoot a deer and the deer would run off, that wherever there was the end of a blood trail, a massive blood trail, and you see where the deer laid down and actually died because the blood had pooled up all the way around. There was no deer.
Right. So they're stealing the game right out from underneath the hunters. Do you think, Travis, that they're watching your routine and your schedule at all? And
yes.
You do. So what gives you that impression?
Because I can, everyone, like I said, every once in a while I can step outside very early in the morning. Like if I have to go to work somewhere on the other side of Arkansas, that these things will scream. If we hear them messing around out here at nighttime, I'll come out here and hit a barrel, and I can hear them scream, and they're close.
Okay.
But if I come out here and don't make any sound or anything like that, I can hear the whippoorwills or the whippoorwill bark, I should say, and hear them hollering at each other. Or we heard rocks clacking together. We've heard the wood knocks up here, and that sounds like somebody's taking a tree hitting another tree. It really does. I mean, it's loud. It's not something small. The wood knocks, or not the wood knocks, but the rocks being banged together. That's loud and sharp, and it's not like a 22 going off. I mean,
do you work? Do you? Sorry to cut you off, sir. Go ahead. Finish what you were saying.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
All right. Just one last question for you. Do you work away from home at all?
Yes.
Okay,
I work on 18 units, and every once in a while I'm called to Missouri, or I'm called to Jonesboro, which is on the other side of the state of Arkansas. And we cover a pretty good size area. Yeah,
Okay,
whenever I'm on, whenever I am gone, I might be gone all night, and sometimes I might not get in till almost midnight. So I am gone for quite a while.
And that answers my next question. Thank you.
All right.
Do
Listen,
you find
everyone.
There's any?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Do you find that there's any difference in activity when you're away versus when you're there? Like from what your wife and your daughter would tell you?
No, not that much.
Right.
Because I've drove around the property, and but after that they'll get brave enough again and start stuff up with us over here.
All right, everyone. We're running out of time, so I'm gonna wrap this up. Any final questions, anyone?
I have one.
Okay.
Travis, what's the longest y'all have gone without seeing any activity at all?
About 3 weeks.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else? All right. Well, Travis and Sherry, thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you for everybody that you've let us get in contact with. Everybody that we've talked to has really good information. They really are.
We have a good team.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for stopping by, and come to see us next time.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Creek Devil. If you or anyone you know has had an encounter with these creatures, please contact us at williamjevning@yahoo.com. That's William, Jevning, @yahoo.com. All communication is confidential. Join us for another program next week. And until then, keep your eyes open out